Hello and welcome to Teleislas News in English with the most important news of the day. Much attention here is a balanced report of the situation of COVID-19 in our department, taking into account that in the last hours there has been a considerable increase in the number of cases of COVID-19 in our department.
According to the last report of COVID-19 in the department released by the Secretariat of Health, currently in the islands there are 97 active cases, 89 of these in San Andres and 8 in Old Providence, leaving a total of 2,955 cases presented in the department since the beginning of the pandemic. Of these, 2,771 have been in San Andres and 184 in Old Providence. The neighborhood most affected actually by active cases are Naval Bay, Sierra Bay, Morris Landing, Perry Hill, San Luis, Cartagena Alegre, Bight, Las Palmas, Lux Bight, Natanya, and Tom Hooker. The number of fatalities has also been increased. A total of 47 people have lost their lives due to COVID-19, 44 of them in San Andres and 3 in Old Providence. It is worth mentioning that in this report, it is also known that the occupation of the COVID ICU is at 16%. Likewise, there are 32 positive cases that are still in the backlog and have not yet been characterized in this report of the Secretariat of Health. A total of 5,431 people have been vaccinated to date in our department.
And taking into account that from June 1st, the hurricane season begins, the IDEAM recommends the National System for Risk and Disaster Management to take the necessary measures so that in case of hurricanes this year, there is no loss of human lives.
The IDEAM has presented an inform of the beginning of the hurricane season, where it highlights that the season officially starts on June 1st and ends on November 30. However, sometimes cyclonic systems usually occur outside this period, reason why monitoring is done continuously. This period includes the dates when the formation of the tropical cyclones is traditionally concentrated in the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. However, the formation of these meteorological phenomena can occur at any time if favorable meteorological and oceanographic conditions are presented, as it has occurred in previous years. Therefore, the IDEAM warns and recommends the National Unit for Disaster Risk Management at the departmental and municipal councils of the Caribbean region and the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Queclina that together with the communities they take the necessary measures to avoid the loss of human lives and material goods, activating and reinforcing prevention measures aimed at reducing the risk associated with the probability of occurrence of these events. The Institute recommends the community in general of these areas to be attentive and keep informed through the communiques and reports issued by the Institute in this regard. Also develop actions to properly secure the roofs and houses and check the trees that represent a threat due to their weak condition and which may fall on power grids and houses. Likewise, operators of shallow draft boat stories and fishermen are advised to closely follow the daily evolution of the weather and to heed the recommendation issued by the port authorities.
And taking into account the first hurricane season bulletin, is the community prepared for this new cyclonic wave? We talked with some inhabitants, and this is what they said to the microphones of Teleislas News.
Suddenly, we are a little bit forewarned with everything we experience with Hurricane Iota. We have to respect the force of nature, and we have to be prepared with everything related to housing and everything that could cause danger.
It is a very strong and horrible phenomenon, and no matter how prepared we are, it will always be scary and frightening.
Should be aware and secure their roofs so that they do not lose or suffer any material losses. For me, San Andres is not prepared for a hurricane because there are many old buildings. There is no way to claim that San Andres is prepared for a hurricane.
After the islands were hit by the Iota on November 16, and while Old Providence and Santa Catalina are still in the reconstruction stage, the community unanimously concludes that the islands are not yet prepared to face another natural disaster.
Does the rotation model continue in educational institutions? The Association of Educators Union of San Andres and Old Providence, ASESAP, is still waiting for a decision from the administration after meeting held last week, because in the schools there are already cases of COVID-19. For this reason, according to the president of ASESAP, the rotation or alternation method should be suspended until further notice.
Hello, Lisa. Viewers, good afternoon. The reaction of the departmental government in front of the request made by ASISAP caused a little inconformism because this association feel like they are committed to protect and to look for the well-being of students, teachers, and the directors and all the people who work in the institution. So they are just asking the administration to suspend a little the presential classes in the institution until the cases of COVID-19 go down a little.
Until now, we don't get no answer from the departmental government. Last week we meet with the committee of alternance, and that committee take the decision that we should suspend class until this problem with the COVID go down a little. We are noticed that every day we're getting more and more and more and more. We are not asking to suspend definitely the classes, and we will never be against to go back to school. We ready all the time to go back to our class. We are just asking to make we take a time, suspend, and to try to avoid that more people continue getting sick with this COVID that is causing all kind of problem in the world.
According to the president of ASISAP, Alden Williams, and to the communique that they emit to the community in general, they are waiting for a prompt response from the departmental government since they are talking with the Ministry of Health to know what is the best option to take.
They get the understanding that they are consulting with the Ministry of Health, so they are waiting until them give them some answer. But I consider that with just what our Secretary of Health advised the governor in that communication that we know last week should be sufficient for we to take a decision in our department.
And as ASISAP, Teleislas News would also be aware of the response and the decision that the departmental administration take in front of this case. Sylvette Mitchell Archibald informed for Teleislas News.
And in other news, during his last visit to the municipality of Old Providence, the departmental governor reached important agreements with the members of the Fish and Farm Association.
Hello, Lisa and all the TV viewers. Well, this end of the week, the governor and different secretaries of the departmental government made a visit to the island of Providence. They visit are being weekly, so they are making an accompaniment and doing a visit to know what is going on in the island. During this visit, where they make this end of the week, they met with the Fish and Farm Association workers who celebrate 30 days of peaceful demonstration in the Camp of Dignity. This meeting was accompanied by the Major Jorge Norberto Gari and also by the Director of Coralina, Arne Britton, who listened to all their requests and they analyze what they can do to help them farmers, them fish and farmers, members association in the island of Old Providence. So the main commitment was to work to guarantee the welfare of these people. So they get to two punctual agreement. The first one was the signing of the loan between the Major Office and the Fish and Farm Association of the land where the headquarters are located, and also the creation of a support subsidy for the fishermen headed by the departmental government. And we expect in the next days the government will announce how much this subsidy will be and how and be processed to access to it. In the same way, a tour was carried out with senior commanders of the military forces who explained to our regional leaders what the work is actually carried out in these land of the Fish and Farm Association, what they happen exactly there, so they can know what they go on and could tell all the community. This is all the information I report from here from the center of the island of San Andres. Continue, Lisa, in studio.
Thank you, Alice. And now we continue with other news that are making news in our brief section of today.
The Coralina Environmental Corporation carried out during this weekend the maintenance and adjustment of coral nurseries and the planting of 268 coral fragments with the participation of 17 beneficiaries of the Program for the Conservation, Preservation and Restoration of Marine Ecosystems Sea Flower. In the same way, in the sector of Nirvana in San Andres was carried out the adequacy of the coral nursery, cleaning and planting of 908 fragments activity in conjunction with Blue Indigo Foundation and 12 participants. The Citizen Prevention Group of the National Police, together with the Secretary of Government, met with the presidents of the Community Action Boards of the island to create joint strategies to implement the Security Fronts program in each of the sectors of the department in order to mitigate insecurity and combat crime. The departmental government and the police held a candlelight vigil where the light of hope was symbolically lit in honor of the victims of the armed conflict in the country. The event took place in the San Luis sector with a prayer in the framework of the National Day of Memory and Solidarity with the Victims of Armed Conflict.